Hollywood panics, box office collapses 14%, only non-woke movies avert catastrophe. And that's no exaggeration, even from The Hollywood Reporter. Summer box office avoids major disaster as domestic revenue falls just 10%. Movie ticket sales were down a terrifying 29% until Bad Boys Ride or Die jump-started a remarkable comeback that was anchored by Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine. And Breitbart knows what's up. From Breitbart, summer box office down 11%, non-woke movies avert catastrophe. It's actually 10.3%. Here's how John Nolte breaks it down. Year to date, the 2024 box office is still down 14% compared to 2023. Hollywood, though, is relieved by those numbers. Why? Because summer started off with the year-to-date box office down 30% compared to 2023. Also, movies that were expected to make money actually did make money, such as Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine now is up to $1.2 billion worldwide, over $600 million domestically. Deadpool and Wolverine was a bet the company move for Marvel, but it really was just not even risky. It really was just giving people what they asked for, giving people what they want, as opposed to the Marvels that took in $206 million worldwide. That's like a sixth of what Deadpool and Wolverine has done. And the other big revival was doing the same thing with Pixar. Inside Out 2 is actually bigger than Deadpool and Wolverine. It's done $1.6 billion worldwide, more than $650 million domestically. Just a straight-up Pixar movie done the way people expect a Pixar movie to be. Huge hit domestically, huge hit internationally. John Nolte from Breitbart continues. After the franchise film Furiosa, a Mad Max story collapsed into a pile of girl boss fail, there was serious concern that audiences just weren't interested in the movies anymore. And while The Hollywood Reporter will certainly admit that the numbers have been off dramatically, and that, yeah, the summer is getting saved, they're still not directly talking about the agenda that they were pushing with their political ideology through movies, and how that was a massive turnoff to audiences. It was not the pandemic. It was not that people weren't interested in seeing movies anymore. It really doesn't even have much to do with streaming. That's like 5% plus, 5% minus. People will still go out to the movies. It's a much different experience than sitting around at home watching it on TV. Yet they can't bring themselves to even discuss it. Many of the successful summer titles also prove that excuses for woke movies failing are pure lies. Bad Boys Ride or Die made a mint of money and proves Americans hate woke, not movies starring black people. And here's the numbers right here. $402 million worldwide. It's not $1 billion, but it's still good money. Inside Out 2 broke records and proved Americans hate woke, not movies starring girls. A Quiet Place Day 1 cleaned up, made a ton of money, and proved Americans hate woke, not movies starring black women. A Quiet Place Day 1 did $261 million worldwide. And if you're keeping track, the budget for A Quiet Place Day 1 was only $67 million. Not like the $200 million they had to spend on the Marvels or even Deadpool and Wolverine. That's essentially a low-budget movie, and to do those kinds of numbers is excellent. Deadpool and Wolverine is anti-woke and is still making even more money weeks after release. Twisters, Despicable Me 4, It Ends With Us, Alien Romulus, all hits one after another. It Ends With Us, starring Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, is another massive hit at $285 million worldwide on a much smaller budget than Deadpool and Wolverine. It Ends With Us was made for $25 million, which is practically pocket money. Every one of the hits that Hollywood had this summer, no exceptions, were all released without the studios pushing identity politics, gay sex, or any kind of political agenda. And the director behind Twisters came right out and said his movie was apolitical and not about global warming or climate change. What saved Hollywood this year from complete collapse, from being down 29% to now only being down 14% was escapism, entertainment, laughs. The same thing that's been drawing people to movies for over 100 years. From The Hollywood Reporter, summer box office avoids major disaster as domestic revenue falls just 10.3%. The numbers are in. Domestic revenue for the 2024 summer box office hit an estimated $3.67 billion, down 10.3% over 2023, according to final numbers issued by ComScore. As counterintuitive as it may seem, Hollywood studio executives and theater owners aren't panicking. They were experiencing far different emotions at the end of May, the official start of the summer box office. Revenue for the month was down a terrifying 29% over the prior year, prompting renewed concern that the theatrical experience might not survive the lasting impact of the pandemic. It wasn't the pandemic, it was the material you were putting out. And yes, people did not go to the movies during the pandemic. That was a one-time event. There's no way for businesses to plan for that. Restaurants couldn't plan for it either. It has everything to do with the kind of movies you're making, not whether or not people have gotten out of the mode of wanting to go see the movies. People are still people. The pandemic didn't change people all that much. And of course, it had nothing to do with Hollywood's labor strikes or competition from streaming. It was because of the strikes that Marvel Studios and Disney weren't able to open Deadpool and Wolverine at the beginning of May. The threequel was delayed until late July, marking the first time in years that a Marvel superhero pick hasn't kicked off the summer. This year, that job went to Universal's action romancer The Fall Guy, which fell short of expectations. Disney's in 20th Century's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, opening mid-month, made a solid showing and successfully rebooted the franchise. But Memorial Day suffered a major blow when Warner Bros. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, got a flat tire. Because they turned the Mad Max franchise into feminist propaganda. They should have expected the results they got. Sony's June offering, Bad Boys Ride or Die, set into motion a major reset and a 2-month box office recovery that made the sins of the past disappear quickly in the rearview mirror, according to a ComScore analyst. The rebound began with the record-shattering performance of Inside Out 2, which put Pixar back on the map and became the top-grossing animated film of all time, with more than $1.6 billion in global ticket sales as of September 2nd. And it will soon overtake Jurassic World to rank as the 8th top-grossing film of all time at the worldwide box office. From there, the domestic summer box office was off to the races. A slew of films of all shapes and sizes overperformed in North America, including Paramount's A Quiet Place Day 1 at $139 million. July wins included Illumination and Universal's Despicable Me 4 at $335 million, and Amblin and Universal's Twisters at $259 million. And Marvel and Disney's superhero sensation Deadpool and Wolverine shattered numerous records and is the first title in the Deadpool franchise to cross $1 billion globally. Quote, the reversal of fortune for theaters in the middle months of the summer season was astonishing and a lesson in how unpredictable and yet resilient this industry is and has always proven itself to be, despite the negative Chicken Little prognostications that occur every time there's a box office turn down. According to the ComScore analyst. Okay, sure, but just keep making movies like the Marvels. That was never something that literally anybody wanted who was interested in Marvel movies. So far, it's around 1/6 what Deadpool and Wolverine has done. And the Marvels destroyed the Marvel franchise as many people predicted it would. And Deadpool and Wolverine has saved the Marvel franchise as many other people predicted it would. I wasn't sure if Deadpool and Wolverine could do it. They really burned the bridges that badly. All Disney has to do is keep the promise now and release more movies that people actually want to see under the Marvel brand. And of course, the same goes for the Pixar brand. And if they did it with Lucasfilm, it would work there as well. It's a very simple system. You just give people what they want. If you were a pizza place, you'd make great pizza. If you didn't make great pizza, you wouldn't do so well. Another analyst at Box Office Theory had this to say, quote, the valleys have been more pronounced than recent years, and we continue to see shifting consumer habits impact certain types of films. Overall, though, the back half of this lucrative season anchored by a variety of crowd-pleasing hits, started delivering the kind of consistent box office winners this industry has been yearning for. That trend is poised to continue through fall, with a stronger post-summer release slate than we've seen since before the pandemic. August breakout hits included Wayfair Studios' It Ends With Us, which furthered Sony's commitment to providing female-driven fare following last year's blockbuster film Anyone But You, which helped revive the studio rom-com genre. Another late summer boost was 20th Century Disney's Alien Romulus, which earned $90.6 million domestically. Globally, its total is an estimated $293 million, the second best showing of the franchise, not adjusted for inflation. The indie side of the aisle has also played a major role in the recovery, led by Neon's Longlegs, which grossed north of $74 million and is the biggest indie horror film in a decade at the domestic box office. Longlegs is at $103 million worldwide, $73 million domestically so far. That's a significant hit because the budgets on movies like this are extremely low. In terms of studios, Disney's film empire returned to its previous glory days. Its summer movies accounted for $1.5 billion of all domestic ticket sales, putting its market share at roughly 42%. Where would Disney be without the success of Inside Out 2 because they returned Pixar to what it's supposed to be? And the success of Deadpool and Wolverine because they returned Marvel to what it's supposed to be? It would be a lot less. They've got $650 million on Inside Out 2 domestically and $603 million on Deadpool and Wolverine domestically. You can do the math. It's a big chunk of $1.5 billion. Universal also did well with 3 films in the top 10 summer domestic chart, followed by Paramount with 2. The Hollywood Reporter will admit that numbers actually do exist, and they will discuss these numbers. If they didn't discuss the actual numbers, they would lose all credibility. Yet still, they can't admit, the way Breitbart does so eloquently, that making movies that no one wants to see, that just push political agendas, is not a financial success. Take a look at the Marvels at $200 million and compare that to Deadpool and Wolverine at $1.2 billion. Same with Pixar. They go back to making the kind of movie that you want to see if you like Pixar, the kind of movie you expect, and it does $1.6 billion, the biggest animated film of all time. Hollywood just can't afford to play these games anymore. They have too many other financial problems to deliberately lose money just so they can destroy brands to push a political agenda. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.